Hey there! Before we dive into today's episode of Ugandan Art Speaks Out, a quick favor, if you're loving the stories and creativity we share, consider subscribing to our monthly support plan. Your help keeps us going strong. Just hit the link in the description to join. Thanks so much, and now let's get into the episode.
How are you, Hawa?
Am I allowed to say the reality?
No, it's okay. It's okay. I mean, that's the answer everyone gives. I'm okay when they're actually not okay.
I'm not okay. I feel a bit sick. And I don't know what I'm sick of.
My prayers your way.
Amen.
So where should I start from? Where should I end from? I have no idea. I mean, you're out here, you're preparing for another show. When you have just hit, I think you're the only woman who has actually put up a show, a one-woman show. Isn't that right? How does that make you feel? Because I feel so good about it. I don't know how you feel.
I feel good about it. I felt also a bit challenged. Yeah, because towards the show you're anxious.
I know.
When the show happens, you're happy that at least you have done this to the best of your capacity. And then there is a bit of what next after the show. So it was a mixture of feelings.
How long was that? And when is the next show? We need to be prepared for it. Oh, November.
I had thought the next show would be in July. But I don't know if I'll be in position to make it in July. Yeah, I'm sick, I'm really sick, I've not been well, and I have exams in June, so I don't know if I'll be well prepared for it. But there should be one this year.
Yeah. We are waiting for it 100%, that's true. We are waiting for it. We cannot wait to have another one of you. I mean, you are brilliant, you are amazing, you are everything good. Yeah, I don't like hearing compliments from people. Maybe you feel the same way.
No, I don't know how to react. It's a journey. I'm still
It's like people,
walking.
when they're singing to you the birthday song, you're like, hey, how should I react? You don't know what to do.
You want to hide, you want to pimp.
You can't sing for yourself, and then start singing eventually, and they're like, let me just leave them to do it. And here we are. Miss Hawa, let's get to know you. Who are you?
Hawa is a human being.
We're all human beings.
Is a human being who likes being human. And she is a dietitian or nutritionist by profession. And she's a poet by passion. Sometimes actor, sometimes artist. She's also an educator.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, educator and mentor.
My mother was on a diet, it should have been like 3 weeks back. Told her, you're going to start eating according to your blood group. We went to another person, they're like, you're going to start eating according to what? We go to another one, they're like, okay, as a dietitian, nutritionist, what's the right way? What's the right way? I mean, we are confused.
There is a general right way of it's good to eat a balanced diet, it's good to have exercises in your routine, even if it's a walk or something, and it's good to hydrate. But the best nutrition is tailored to an individual. And the reason we tailor it to one individual is because we have different schedules, work schedules. Some people are more active in their day-to-day work. Others are more sedentary in their day-to-day work. We have different heights. Some people are tall, others are not that tall. We have different weights. Some people are heavy, others are light. So your diet or nutrition is tailored to you, to the individual.
I think Coleman and I should come to you for some plan. We need to add some kgs. So here we are. You're today you come as a poet.
Yeah, today I'm here.
I've already gotten enough knowledge from the nutrition side. How did you get to juggle these two things? You're into poetry, serious poetry at that. You're a nutritionist, you are an educator, you are everything. What?
I don't know how I juggle. I think because poetry is passion, I love poetry. Poetry is my soulmate. It's my happy place, it's my safe place. So I kind of balance it with the nutrition. I had always, as a child, I wanted to care for people. and I had wanted to be a doctor, and I chose to, focus on nutrition and dietitian so that I also do that more of contributing to people's health. So because I love both or enjoy both, and I like educating, I like teaching, and not the teaching of imposing my will to other people or telling them do this and don't do that. But, just to help children and teenagers find their way or support them, facilitate them in whatever they want to be. I want them to know that they walk their journeys for themselves, but I can walk with them for the time I can. Yeah. I enjoy doing all these things, and I think that's what helps me juggle them. And not unfortunately, but realistically, sometimes we slack. There are days you procrastinate. There are days you feel, funny.
I mean, it's just being human, like you said earlier. Yeah.
But then I make sure I get things done. I don't give up on the, on the job.
Let's talk about your creative process. How you get to write these things. I mean, I cannot do that. I mean, if I give myself a whole year off, I cannot do that. Let's talk about yours. How do you do that?
To be honest, my creative process varies. Sometimes I will have a poem, lines running through my head, and I could have sleepless nights because there are lines that I need to write down. And there are days when I have a bit of writer's block. And then there are days I'll just wake up at 3 a.m. and write. So for me, the creative process depends on maybe what I'm experiencing. Even if I'm not experiencing it directly, I could be observing it, or I could be in a space that has been having certain conversations around certain things, certain topics, and I'm a bit, and so many things emerge for me or get stuck with me in that process. So my mind is it's thinking around these things and thinking heavily on them. So I'll write them down.
Oh, interesting.
And so that means some poems are easier written, others are hard. Others could take a year, a month, weeks.
A year.
Others could take one sitting. And then after I'm done with that, I read it the next day, and maybe I just patch up a bit, and then there are some I will write and I'm like, I want this role, even if I have not appreciated it, but because the creative process has been in a certain way, I want to leave that as raw as it is. So it varies.
I hear you. So as you're patching up these things, as you're editing, as you're writing, do you belong to any literary communities, either the poetry associations or what? Do you belong to any that maybe you have friends who help you do this? Do you belong to any community?
I work with Chitara Nation. I've actively engaged with it. So I could say I would incline more to Chitara Nation. And sometimes even like most poets have been with Chitara Nation, so somehow I could use. Sometimes you send someone your piece, any poet, not any, like it depends on probably the genre you've written about or the topic you've written about, and you share with them to help you critique the poem. I believe in constructive criticism. And then they tell you, them as a recipient, how they've received it, so that helps you. Other times you're very particular when you're seeking help. You say, I've written this, it's for this purpose. Can you help me out with that? With, navigating it. Or maybe I'm going for this competition and these are the themes. So does this as a person, because sometimes you need an outsider to read. It's easy as a writer to think that the way I've written is the way it will be received, but it may not be received that way. So it depends on the poem and its intended purpose. Then, of course, generally there is poetry you just write and write and write, so it will always be with you. You have it. So those ones you always have.
So as per the comment earlier today, I'm like, why are you keeping it to yourself? Why are you keeping it to yourself? Post it, send it to your friends, share it so that we get to read, we get maybe to impact us in one way or the other.
Well, you share some and keep some. I think it's natural. I think being a writer makes you vulnerable. And being open and vulnerable comes with its dynamics. Sometimes you probably are ready for for whatever way you receive, for whatever energy you receive, given a certain piece. Other pieces, you're not sure how you're going to receive it and you're not ready. So you keep it. Or you choose that some of these poems, I'll publish them, they'll be on the page, they won't go to the stage. Then other poems, you're like, you know what, these ones can go on the stage. So
you just decided like,
So,
this is going to happen this way, this one is going to happen the other way.
And then some, you just take one for the team and put it out there and leave the audience to deal with it.
I mean, you have a lot. The next day you write another one, you're like, let me just put this one out there. I get interesting. So what's your main theme that you write about? What do you like talking about, writing about? Yes.
I'm a bit diverse. I write about social consciousness, humanity, feminism, women empowerment, love. I also write about love. Majorly. Peace, humanity, social consciousness, love. Yeah.
Tell me you're feminist.
Empowerment. Yes, I am. I mean, I think the feminism journey, my feminism journey seems to be a bit different from the current feminist wave.
So I was going to say this.
So I'm a bit like, am I a feminist? Do I want that label anymore or do I not? But I do believe in women empowerment. I do believe in supporting women and helping them or facilitating them in whatever they want to achieve. And not treating women as, not objectifying women or treating them as despising them and, using all these derogatory words on them. I don't like that.
Because this wave that is happening now is harsh, is everything.
I feel like some of the current waves, I don't agree with them. They're a bit antagonist.
Yeah.
And they've put, they're making it seem like man and woman should fight. I believe men and women are complementary. They complement each other.
So should it be a patriarchal society or a matriarchal society?
It's a patriarchal society, which I have issues with. I have issues with the patriarchy. I feel like it is not serving us. But I also don't believe it should be a matriarchal society. Because I feel like if it becomes a matriarchal society, then in future we will have to go through the war of it becoming patriarchal again. But I think it could be a humanical society where every human being is aware of themselves and conscious of how they use themselves and how they impact or how the way they behave affects other people, the ones they live around, whether they are male or female.
But me, I believe it should be a patriarchal society, but the one that is discussed.
We discuss
the terms, we discuss the issues.
Patriarchy hasn't served us. Patriarchy hasn't served us, and unfortunately, even some women are propagators of the patriarchy. And I feel like it is not serving us. It is just not, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's your opinion, yeah? Your point of view, I guess your point. So, okay.
Let me...
You okay? Okay. Getting into it, so that's what you talk about, basically, empowerment, rights, stuff like that, love. Yeah, you go.
Excuse me.
So that's what you think the role of poetry is in the society, of what you've talked about, of empowerment. You can talk to people. And let's get situations whereby you've performed and people are like, they come to you, talk to you, they're like, this hit home, this actually talk to me. You've had such situations?
Yes, I have. I've had those situations.
Oh, interesting. So that means your work is actually impacting the society. That's what you think?
I hope. I don't know if it's impacting. I think it's impacting a number of individuals. Oh, I also write about social justice.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I'm very against injustice and unfairness. Though it's a long way to come or long way to go, but I do get those compliments from a number of individuals. I also get fierce ones, the ones of, oh my God, are you safe saying that? Like, this poem is dangerous. Don't you think it's going to get you in jail?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it is what it is. I think I've reached a point in my life where I believe we are all going to die, whether we want or not. So
yeah, eventually, because that's
the eventual.
100 years from now, most of us will be long way.
I shouldn't fear it that much, but I hope I die empty.
Yeah.
I want to leave my everything here, I want to contribute to the world the way I can, so that I die empty.
You die when you finish, not completed.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. So I'm just trying to get you to hear you. When you're writing these pieces, all these pieces that you're talking about that you've been performing, are you writing to fulfill what you feel, or how you're going to express yourself, or how the audience will get your point, or how the audience will actually get to understand what you're talking about?
I think I'm writing more from the internal, from the within. I tend so much not to focus on what the audience will. You know, the audience is diverse. And the audience receives your works from their circumstances and experiences and their thought process or thought structure at that time. And I'm not sure I'm going to be in control of the entire audience. It's very big.
Yeah.
So I write from within, from the internal. I'm passionate about poetry. I use it, I write, basing on what I'm processing or what I'm thinking at that time, and what I wish to point out or say out. If maybe the piece is about social justice or humanity, I'll write along those lines. If it's about women empowerment, I'll write along those lines. And I pay more attention to my creative process and what I'm writing more than the audience.
Okay. Yeah.
Luckily, the audience will relate or acknowledge or appreciate, and where they don't, they'll also let you know. But also, because it is not so much in my control, I don't write from their angle. I don't have control of that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the empathy of, you're talking to different groups of people, I mean, different religions, different races, ethnicities, different people. How do you work with the empathy of that? I mean, you're talking to different people. How do you work with that?
Okay, how I work with that? I believe in social cohesion. Social cohesion, I feel like, is inevitable. I believe that our differences are inevitable, but our conflicts are resolvable. Our misunderstandings are resolvable. The biases and stereotypes and prejudices we have about our differences are also resolvable. So how I navigate it is more of the content in my poetry is not divisive. It's cohesive. I don't attack people, but I do attack actions.
Where there's need be, yeah?
Yeah. I do attack actions of like maybe injustice, or actions like patriot, or or like I do attack actions, but I don't. My poetry is not. My content is not divisive. So
Interesting.
and I'm an empath. I really would. I mean, some people's shoes are too big. I may not fit in them, or maybe too small. I still may not fit in them. But I do try my best to put myself in another person's position in my daily life. So somehow, because I'm like that in my daily life, my poetry won't differ much. I try to practice what I preach. I don't like putting content.
Because you must, of course, identify with what you write.
I must again what?
I think you identify with what you write.
Yes.
When someone meets you, they're like, oh, that's one. She's a feminist. This one. They start telling what you are from what you say, from what you perform. Is that so? Should be the case. Yeah, I understand.
So in my editing process, I try so much to feel whether this is am I just saying things that I don't do? Are these going to be two different people, or I believe in this, so I should be in position to have my poetry not really opposite to who I am or what I believe in.
So what you believe in matters who you are and everything of the sort.
Yeah, there should be a strand that connects the dot.
So we need to get to the community. We need to get poetry reaching the community, hitting home, not leaving it where it is right now. We need to reach out there to each and every person. I don't know how we're going to do that. Maybe you could advise us in one way or the other.
What I believe, what we have done in the past is we've done school poetry tours, where we have different poets go to different schools, and we've launched different poetry clubs with Chitara Nation.
Interesting.
But school is also it's a form of privilege because some people don't go to schools. For communities, I still believe different poetry hubs could be created in the communities, even if they're not just for poetry maybe, but for reading and maybe people writing, and they maybe meeting them once in a while, going to these communities and establishing it with them. Because when you establish something with the community gains a sense of ownership. So they tend to have their own ideas and putting them in the hub you've created.
Yeah.
And they apply their creativity to it or their innovativeness to it. And that helps. That helps you when you are starting this out. And then once in a while you could have guest poets to go to these communities with them.
Yeah, I get
and
you.
maybe have a session with them, and maybe do some poetry with them to help them grow in that area, but also to encourage them to be as open and real when they're writing and vulnerable. And there should be a bit of a safe space where nothing is going to be, where no one feels like they're going to be implicated or something is going to be used against them.
Yeah, of course, there's fear of expression.
Yeah, of course,
at the end of the day, this piece is going to be out there. What will people think of me? I think that's why most poets are fearing to write what they actually want to write because they're fearing of this. Just, of course, in the country, whatever is happening. Have you ever been in such situations? You're like, no, this one is too hard for them. It's going to bring me problems. You're going to perform somewhere and they're like, you cannot perform these pieces. You only perform in this line. You've been in such situations?
Yes, I have. I don't think I still have fear for what is going to happen. I think it's something I've transcended. I think it's something that I've transcended. But for anyone starting, I know it's a journey. Excuse me. I know for me it's something that I've transcended, but I also know that it's a journey. It's a journey that we experience differently. Some poets may not have faced it, based on the spaces they perform in or the platform they began at. People who are performing recently may not have it as people who performed in the past. It's different because different revolutionary poets have created different platforms that are supporting some poets that are emerging now. So it's a personal journey for a particular poet. So for anyone out there who could have that fear of expression, I think it's the will. Where there is a will, there is a way. Somehow what you speak into your life kind of manifests. If it doesn't manifest, you get nearer the manifestation than staying in the same place. So for me, I've transcended that. I no longer have that. When I reach a place and they I'll call it fine-tuning. This one, you first remove this one. See, now this is too political. Now this, whatever reasons they'll give. Because I'll respect that space, I'll do it. But that does not take away the poem, the indigenous poem, and the right of my poem the way it is. And when they do that, I'll feel bad, so I'll ensure this poem, I'll either record it and it's on my YouTube channel, or I'll perform it in a space where it is not limited.
Interesting.
Yeah, like I'll perform it in a place that is limitless so that it is heard and it is out there.
You've had instances where someone is like, oh, that one stole my poem.
Yeah.
Which one did that? So we need to talk about the economic rates, of course, the rates of the poets, of their work that they've created. But it's hard to claim your rates when you've not produced it. Is that so? If you share it, you've not produced it, so someone can easily take it and make it theirs. Have you been in such situations, and how can we overcome that as we come to a conclusion of this?
I think the challenge I've faced in poetry is that poetry is not something that was very common in the Ugandan audience or in the Ugandan setting. We had more music in the day. So we've had music live like beyond 50 years, beyond 50 to 60 years. Poetry is young. I don't know if poetry has made 20 years yet. I don't know. Most poets I know are 10 to 15 in the game. Mm-hmm. And at the time when they were beginning, we've struggled with a market price because I didn't find one, for example. I didn't find one. So every poet has come up with their price depending on maybe their own, I don't know, their own formed criteria.
Well,
I think they form their own criteria and come up with their price that way. So the market price has not been there. It's something that we are trying to establish, varying from individual to individual, right?
Yeah.
Or from the value attached. So some people attached to poetry are very high price, which is a good thing. And some people feel like these are small things. Please, you come, write, recite, leave. Simple things. No, nothing much to it. So that's been a hard battle for me, especially because I've recorded some of my works and I've published some of my works, and I struggle to like, I also feel bad that certain artists also who know the struggle sometimes may undervalue it. Because, for example, there was a time I wrote a poem for an organization, and then I still had to, they knew the value, but they wanted to pay less for the value.
No.
And I was a bit disturbed by, because me, when I can't afford something, I will respect that you're right, that your price is actually right.
Mm-hmm.
I am just not going to afford it. I'll admit and acknowledge, and either I'll request you compromise. If we cannot come to the compromise, I'll acknowledge and appreciate your value and maybe go to another person.
Yeah.
But not because I have not given you your due credit. So that is a hard battle to fight. So right now, the way I go about it is, one, I know that if you place upon yourself a small price, you rest assured the world will never raise it. So it's very important for me to actually raise my price. The value I attach to my craft is more than anything else. Like, you're not going to pay for my sleepless nights the value that it's needed. You're not going to pay for bits and pieces of me.
Mm-hmm.
That's life. Life is priceless. Like, that's bits and pieces of me, my life, my emotions. But you're not going to pay for that. You're only doing a courtesy, of a token of appreciation. So that is where I'm at. And there are challenges to it because we are on different levels. Different people, like I've said, they don't value it that way.
Yeah, it's true.
So I no longer have to explain that.
Yeah, we've come to a conclusion of this. We're going to be on the lookout for the dates of the show. You're going to be on the lookout for sure on your socials, all of them. Yeah, and thank you for being here with us, having a conversation with us. It's such a beauty. You're such a, compliment you again, amazing, intelligent, brilliant, for all that is good to say.
Thank you.
You are that. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Ugandan Art Speaks Out. We're so grateful for our subscribers. You make all of this possible. If you haven't subscribed yet, we'd love to have your support. Just click the link in the description to join us and help keep these stories going. We appreciate you and can't wait to share more with you next time.